Let's go, everyone. We're back. Episode 74, MTL Sports Podcast. After a long break, a well-needed break for us to recharge, get over the end of the NFL season. Just had to recharge and do our thing, but we're back, better than ever. Episode 74. We're gonna start our season recap of the divisions in the NFL. Tell you, how the team's year went, how they should operate this off season, and maybe preview their outlook for next season as well. So we got that plus some rapid fire. So you guys already know. With all that being said, stay tuned. Orlando Magic suck. Just kidding.
Orlando Magic.
We're going to start this NFL season recap. I think we're going to start in AFC. Go through all the divisions first. Tonight we have the AFC North, home of the Bengals, the Ravens, Steelers, and the Browns. I guess we got three objectives here. Like I said, go over how this season went. I think we should probably rank the teams in the division. And then I guess maybe even rank this division amongst the rest of the AFC, and then anything else we want to throw in. So I guess we'll start with the individual teams. Who do you think had the best season in this division?
Well, honestly, do you want me to ask who had the best season? I'll go with the Browns for what they had to go through. Honestly, it's easy to say, and I think it's a cop-out to say that it's the Ravens. Because honestly, you go into the AFC as the number one seed, you kind of don't want to be losing in the championship game in the fashion that you did. For the Browns, they went through, 4 quarterbacks at one point, still made the playoffs. Yeah, they got beat up in the first round, but did we really have a lot of faith in them once they got to the playoffs? No, it was just cool they even made it, because I think at the beginning of our season, when we were doing the predictions of the the division, we both said the Browns weren't even going to make the playoffs. So, in fact, they made the playoffs. The Browns were in a different AFC league. If they were in the AFC South, maybe even the AFC West, they would have won the division. Not guaranteed they would have, but they would have been contention to win it. They just unfortunately win the AFC North. And to be fair, they did beat the Ravens one game, so they did beat the winner of their division. So, all in all, I think the Cleveland Browns, I would say, probably had the best / most surprising season. Not really. I can't really go with the Ravens because, one, we said we thought the Ravens were going to win the division if it wasn't for the Bengals, but then probably about halfway through, we still were saying the Browns were iffy about making the playoffs.
Yeah,
and we pretty much said the Ravens were going to win because Burrow was gone. Once the Burrow left, we kind of just knew it is what it is. But I'm going to go with Browns for that reason. And Ravens, I just can't pick Ravens, even though you were the number one seed in the AFC. You just didn't look good, and you consistently just don't look good in the most important game, or the most important game that you have every season. People always want to be like, oh, you can't blame Lamar, you can't do this, Lamar. Like, come on, man. It's like, it's a broken record at this point. No, we're not calling him a running back, but dang, if you treat him like a running back and you make him throw the ball, there's a consistent pattern in which he doesn't consistently throw accurate passes. He throws accurately when he needs to, but you consistently just shut down his running game, and also if you just don't run the ball at all, I'm not even going to say the Chiefs shut down his running game. We didn't even get to see if their running game was going to work. They just shut it down on their own. So that was kind of on his own coaching staff that kind of hindered him a little bit. But once you see Lamar get forced into a one-dimensional role of just straight passer, it just doesn't work out as well. But to be fair, that happens to a lot of quarterbacks. Like, let's be honest. Kyler Murray. If you force Kyler Murray to only throw the ball, strictly throw the ball, Kyler Murray ain't that good. He needs to move around. Cam Newton, if you ask Cam Newton to strictly throw the ball, he wasn't that good. He had to move around. It ain't a hindrance to him that he has to move around. But one, you gotta at least let him play to that ability. And that's the biggest point. And just in the game that it mattered the most, they just didn't. And it's not even on the Chiefs playing good defense. That's just on his coaching staff letting him down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if they would have played better in that AFC Championship game, maybe the Ravens deserve to be, the best team in the division. But like you said, it's one and dones with them, and it's sad to see because they have, especially this year, they had all the talent that they asked for, and they couldn't really make it over the top. So it sucks for them. So I'm gonna go Browns. Were definitely the best team because we had a lot of question marks, and they overcame every question mark for the most part. The Steelers, though, I think were the surprise just because we kept saying like, oh, they're gonna fall off, oh, they're gonna fall off, oh, they're gonna fall off. Made the playoffs with the backup Mitch came in after Pickett was hurt. Continued to play when Pickett was clear to play. Was playing better than Pickett's for the majority of the season. So shout out to them. Bengals, of course, had to overcome Joe's injury, and that just didn't happen. So I guess let's get into the nitty gritty before we rank the whole division amongst the AFC. The Ravens. What do you think their offseason looks like in terms of who they need to go after player wise? I know Mike McDonald left. Their D coordinator, he left. They promoted some guy from within. I forgot the coach's name, but in terms of players, like, how do you think their offseason is going to look?
The Ravens are completely on survival mode because you paid Lamar all that money. Lamar, I think, is like 13.7%. Yeah, 13.7% of the salary cap. So basically, if you were to, and I know they don't do it, but if you were to break it down 50-50, I want to spend 50% on offense, 50% on defense. And the Ravens are notorious for spending a lot of money on defense.
Yep.
But if you were to do 50-50, well, 13.7 out of your 50% is in one guy. On top of that, there's going to be certain guys that leave this season, this off season, more likely rather than not. People being like Patrick Queen. I don't see them re-signing him, even though he had a pretty awesome season this year. They might try to franchise tag him. We don't know. But regardless, he's not coming back. Queen's gonna go. He's gonna go get that money. Honestly, there's a lot of guys on that defense who are probably going to go out there and get that money, who are eligible to go get that money. I think the biggest key to this team that they need to do, you just need a running back that doesn't get hurt. There's some speculations out there that they're trying to go after Derrick Henry. We don't know how the running back market is. We're not trying to pay guys a lot of money in the running back room. Maybe you can outbid Jerry Jones. Maybe, I don't know. But Derrick Henry is proven not to get hurt over a course of a season, or if he does, he gets a little banged up and he always returns. But the problem for the Ravens is every single year, all their running backs are always gone. And then you're trying to find, then they're bringing in Dalvin Cook off the streets, trying to make something happen out of nowhere at the end of the season. Sorry, not sorry, but if Dalvin Cook was really all that awesome this season, he would have been with the team. He wouldn't have been a free agent.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on the Jets, but if he was really good, he could have made sparks like Breece Hall did with the Jets. He just, he didn't have the ability to make sparks like that without a good O-line, And the Ravens, they have a pretty good O-line, but they can't keep their running backs healthy. I don't think there's a knock on the offensive line. I think the offensive line is pretty fine. They got a great fullback to block for them. Isaiah Likely might be walking out too to get some of that money. But, I think they just need a running back who will stay healthy for a whole season. There's plenty of running backs hitting the market right now. You got like Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs normally stays healthy through the whole season. There's a lot of running backs that are out there that normally stay healthy. Maybe you can draft a running back just draft a running back who's out of college, who plays consistently and doesn't get hurt, because that's your problem. When it mattered most, Gus Edwards was irrelevant in the AFC Championship game. Justice Hill is a 4-string running back for a reason. And yeah, Mitchell guy was good, but he got hurt. And J.K. Dobbins, I think this is the second or third season in a row in which this man's just gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Cut the slack. Just bring a guy in that Lamar can trust at the end of the season. Because right now he ain't got no one at the end of the season.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone. And like I said, the most talented offensive roster they've had. And yeah, they made the AFC Championship game, but in terms of offense, they didn't really manage to do much in that game. And we, like you said earlier, like this team typically doesn't spend on offense. It was kind of a hassle, as we all saw during last offseason, to just give the guy a contract. So if it's a hassle to give Lamar the money that he's earned and deserves, then just imagine the money that will be needed to maybe retain or even go out and get guys. It's going to be penny pinching for them, even though they have the cash. So let's be honest, Odell probably won't be back. Like you said, some of the other guys aren't going to be back. Queen likely is probably going to try and get a contract if he can. So they're going to have to hit on some of these draft picks. I think they have most of their draft picks. So, that's pretty much where they're going to find talent, because they don't really like to spend. And I guess for the services of like a Josh Jacobs or even a Derrick Henry, it's going to cost money, and I don't really think they're out there to spend money. They've already spent their money on Lamar. They're probably looking to add guys in, defensively. So we'll see. Moving on. How about the Browns? How do we see the Browns offseason going? I know Deshaun was out. Nick Chubb was out. They've had some injuries. But those guys are going to come back, plus draft picks, all that stuff. So how do we feel like their offseason is going to go?
I think their offseason is going to go a little bit. I don't want to say boring. I think they're going to be one of those teams that tries to stay pat with what they got. They're not going to try to move around a lot. I think that they were like, oh man, it's just unfortunate news that Chubb left us. Chubb got hurt. It's unfortunate news that Deshaun Watson got hurt. Honestly, what they do behind Deshaun Watson might be the biggest part of the offseason.
Yeah.
The fact that, in the preseason, DTR looked good, but in the real game, it was pretty evident that this man is concussion prone.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I think he got 2 concussions in 4 games, so it's not ideal. PJ Walker is not really ideal, and I don't know about Sleepy Joe Flacco making a whole lot of noise again. I think Sleepy Joe might actually take a breather and finally go into retirement.
That might have been all the magic he had. Because he had a stinker in that first playoff game.
Honestly, what I think this team needs is a deep threat on, wide receiver. I do believe, Elijah Moore might be a deep threat. I had never really seen him be an exciting deep threat. But I don't think Amari Cooper at this point in his career has got that speed to be a deep threat. But Amari Cooper runs beautiful routes, so that's not what he's there for. I think what you probably want is a guy to just run really fast in a straight line. Go over the top. Get explosive plays. I feel like that's something the Browns, they got a lot of explosive plays because Joe Flacco's arm was just powerful enough to sling it down the field as far as possible. Deshaun Watson back at Houston used to do that. Maybe this season he couldn't because of his shoulder injury, but you're probably wanting him to do that coming this offseason. So I think getting a deep threat guy to just launch it down the field. And, like I said earlier, I feel like this is going to be one of those teams that stays pat and tries to keep everything in-house and move forward next year. Well, if you're going to do that, you got to make sure you keep as many important pieces as possible. Pay guys that need to get paid. I think they're doing okay in terms of cap. But yeah, if I was them, I double down on a good deep threat wide receiver, because I don't think Elijah Moore is like that guy as your number 2. I think he's a good, decent number 3. But number 2, I mean, come on, I don't think Elijah Moore's like that. There's a reason why the Jets were willing to let him walk.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just pulled up the cap numbers per team. So looks like the Browns, they're probably near the bottom. They have spent a lot of money, so they're over the cap, so they got some money to shed if they want to make any moves. So we'll see. In my eyes, I think, I think like you said, just stay pat. I think if they have their starting quarterback, their starting running back, they probably do go further than just, make it to a wild card game. So it's pretty impressive what they did nonetheless. But I think they just got to bring everyone back and hope that everyone stays healthy a second go around. Like you said, an explosive guy on the wide receiver end could help. So maybe they find that through the draft. Maybe spend a second or a third round pick. But I think for them, just maybe solidifying that backup QB spot, like you were saying, because it doesn't seem like it's in-house, and I don't think Joe Flacco can make it through another season. Maybe they do try to extend an offer to him, but the man's, 37, 38? It's probably best that he goes back on the couch. Yeah, I think he used up all his magic, man. I don't think he is probably worth keeping him in-house. Go get you a young cat. Maybe see if you can go steal Jake Browning from the Bengals. Because he deserves to get paid, but I don't think Cincinnati's going to pay him. They're just going to keep him on that contract. So maybe you go overpay him for a backup quarterback. Maybe you go get like a Brissett or somebody. That's a decent backup quarterback.
Brissett was there before, so I think Brissett might come back. I mean, you could also try to fancy the market and Minnesota's now going to be a little overwhelmed in terms of quarterbacks. Maybe you can go over there and see Josh Dobbs once I have a full off-season camp. You know what he can do. Yeah. You've seen what he can do.
Yeah, I think that's another great idea right there. But yeah, just solidify that and they'll be fine. Moving on, though, we got the Steelers. I think we both can say that their number one priority, I think, is solving the quarterback position because the defense is there. TJ Watt's holding it down. They've, drafted well. But I think probably wide out, fixing the drama they got there, and quarterback is probably their two biggest things, don't you think?
If you want to be honest with you, I mean, I think the Steelers are in a prime spot to make some moves because, their pick isn't awesome, but their pick isn't horrible. But you might have to give up something in order to move up in the draft. And if you pay attention to last season, Carolina Panthers moved up in the draft and they traded away DJ Moore to go get, they got rid of 2 first-round picks. 2 years of first-round picks. You might be in the same boat having to give up a player in your first-round pick to move up in the draft. I would think I think it would benefit them to do that because I think there's some wide receivers there that probably don't want to be there. I'll just say it as kindly as I can. I think there are some guys that don't want to be there that are there, and honestly, if you're going to be a hindrance to my team, then I might as well kick you out now when I'm trying to rebuild it. And it's not like they've shown that they're over the top amazing anyways. They haven't shown that they're rookie year Odell Beckham Jr. or anything. You don't know. I'm kind of hinting at George Pickens. I mean, dude, the man didn't even make a block. Put his running back. He was like, "Oh, you want me to get killed for that?" I mean, kind of.
Let's not act like the other guy is in a diva too. Deontay Johnson, he's just as bad.
Yeah, both of them. But
both of them.
You kind of have to. I mean, if they want to both be like that, you might have to give rid of one in order to show the other one what's about to go down. Because we're for real. We're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're consistently good. You don't have to worry about the fan base because the fan base is always going to ride with what the ownership does because the ownership hasn't led them astray very often. So, because you're not above the team. I mean, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. If there's any team in the NFL that just solidifies team, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're never going to be above the team. So, that's when I look at the Steelers. I'm like, yeah, you might have to get rid of a wide receiver that wants to act out, and prove that you're about getting a good quarterback. That'll make some noise, but you can't act like the Kenny Pickett experience didn't fail. You wanted it to work because he was a Pittsburgh guy. He came from the University of Pitt. He's played at the stadium before, but it didn't work, and that's okay. It doesn't always have to work. Mason Rudolph has proven not to work in the past. Maybe he wants to have like a Geno Smith, comeback. But Geno Smith took a lot more years to do that comeback than you did. So you're not even on that criteria level yet. So if you want to be honest with you, the 20th pick doesn't help you at all. You're gonna have to move up. They've proven they don't like to move up. Maybe you get Penix down there at 20th because everyone's overlooking Penix. I mean, the guy was almost the best quarterback in the college football for 2 years straight. So, everyone's also overlooking Bo Nix a little bit. I'm not a big high on Bo Nix, but I feel like Bo Nix is a little bit better of a quarterback than like the quarterbacks they're high on right now, which is like David May or Dave May from North Carolina,
Drake May, JJ McCarthy.
I don't think JJ McCarthy's all that. He's not all that amazing. I think you know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to be a game manager. For some teams, straight out the gate, that's pretty good. That'll work. He's got the good build and everything, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the problem with Drake May is you never knew how good he is. You can't really tell because University of North Carolina always has such a horrible defense. It doesn't matter if he puts up 48 points. The defense let him score 52. Doesn't matter. That's the one problem with Drake May. You can't ever judge how good he is. Yeah, he's lighting up the other team, but he doesn't win these games. It's kind of hard to win the game when the defense can't keep a team from scoring 38 points because he consistently scores about 38. So, but Bo Nix is kind of, I don't know why Bo Nix draft stock's kind of falling a little bit. Maybe they're gonna try to sneak one out later on with Hartman. Hartman out of Notre Dame, but he's been in the college football forever, and there's probably a reason because no one's ever high on him.
Maybe Rattler, maybe the guy from Arkansas, that kid, that people's getting high on, but
was it KJ Jefferson?
Something.
Yeah, KJ Jefferson's all right. I like KJ Jefferson, but my only issue with KJ Jefferson is he really took a massive step back this season. Yeah, you could also say his team wasn't as good around him, but he didn't even nearly put up the same numbers he did in the previous years. And I mean, that can't all be everyone, the team not being great around him. I mean, Arkansas is consistently decent. They just were horrible this season. Outright horrible.
Yeah, they didn't watch too much Arkansas, but I think at the end of the day, the Steelers have to get the quarterback situation down pat. I think it's the one thing that's been holding them back. What they've lost, they've been losing playoff games since, 2016, 2017. They haven't won one since. So, yeah, you're being consistently, above 500 or out of 500. They tied, last season. But, I mean, if you're not winning playoff games, it's all for nothing. Steelers are known for winning championships, not being 500 or better. So it's kind of sad at how they kind of changed their culture when the standard was championships, and now it's kind of lowered. So my thoughts is, like you said, you probably can't draft a quarterback that's good at that 20 spot. So if your history is not that of moving up, then hey, maybe trade that pick and another player and go get you a Russ Wilson. Maybe go get you see what the Bears want. See what the Bears want for Justin Fields. I think those are also two viable options we didn't talk about. Maybe, hey, see what Kirk is. If Kirk's on rehab schedule and Minnesota wants to move on for him, maybe throw some money at Kirk Cousins for a year or two. See how that goes. I think there's a lot of potential quarterback options outside of the draft as well. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they do and what Tomlin wants to do. Last team, my Cincinnati Bengals. A lot that's expected of them this offseason. They already made one move. They tagged T. Higgins officially today, which they had about $80 million in cap after the tag. I think I saw a number of $50 million, but maybe this is more accurate. So they're around $52 million now. in cap space, which is still a ton, even after T. So I know we have DJ Reader to possibly re-sign. Jake Browning is a free agent. Mixon is a possible salary hit, so that might be some cost savings right there. Before I go in on the Bengals, Lawrence, what do you think the priorities that the Bengals have to do this offseason?
Keep T. Higgins.
Okay. Are you thinking just for the year, or do you think there's a long-term option? Maybe?
Nah, I think you just keep him for the year. And you figure out what happens. I think you're gonna have to draft another. I think the end all be all is you try to draft someone to fill in his role this season, and learn under the tutelage of him and Chase. Because guess what? Chase is about to break your bank next season. Chase is gonna absolutely break it. I think T. Higgins knows he ain't getting the big deal there, but I think he would take a franchise tag and play on it. Because, no offense, but every other team that's out there looking for T. Higgins is pretty much booty cheeks. And if T. Higgins is a smart individual, which I do believe T. Higgins is pretty much a smart individual, he would rather take the franchise tag, which is still a lot of money.
$24 million. It's a lot of money.
Still a lot of money. You get a prove-it year deal, so that way next year you can make a lot more money. This is probably this team's run for a title year. He should probably know that, and he should just take advantage of it. You probably only get a few of these every. You have a, 14-year career on average. You're a 14-year player. How many chances do you get to have an actual, bona fide chance to make a run at the title? I would probably say you get maybe 4 or 5 max. Now, unless you're a dynasty team like the Chiefs, doesn't really count, but because there's only a few of them. Most of the time, you get like maybe 4 or 5. You get 2 in your prime, 1 when you're getting a little bit, on the borderline of leaving it, and then 1 when you're just, You're scraping the bottom of the barrel, and you're just trying to go be the number 4 or 3 on a team in your late 30s, just trying to get that ring on your finger. You probably get about 4 or 5 of them. So if he's smart, he knows that this is my opportunity. I got to stay here, get the franchise tag. It's a franchise tag, still a lot of money. I'm so rich at the end of the day. I'm making more money than almost all of America. So. You also got to look at it like, they're going to be drafting my replacement. It's cool. We making more money next year. But, dude, if you really want to make a run, I think the most important thing that the Bengals can do is bolster the D-line. Have a more fearful run defense. You got to make guys scared, to run up that middle. And you got to be willing to fight with them at the middle. Well, whether that is bolstering your linebackers, getting a hard-nosed hitting linebacker, someone who's willing to lick some wounds and hit some prey that kind of tries to run through the middle. Whether it's to completely just get a run-stuffing defensive tackle in there to absolutely just snuff everything out. I think that was one of the problems with this team this year. Sometimes the secondary is a little sus and gave up, plays, but they weren't anything, horrible. Yeah, they were all right. But the absolute thing that was bad was the fact that some teams just run the ball all day on you. And at the end of the day, you can't have that same problem going into the next season because that's just going to be everyone's game plan. And honestly, it's a really bad game plan. Or not, it's a really great. Sorry, that was the wrong word. It's a really good game plan to have against the Bengals, is to run the ball all day on them. Because honestly, if I'm the Bengals, I'd rather you throw the ball on me, because if you score quickly by throwing the ball, okay, I get Burrow and Chase, they get the ball right back. This is the Kansas City logic here, okay? Patrick Mahomes, you don't want to give Patrick Mahomes the ball. So what do? We got to be able to run the ball on him. Okay, what do the Chiefs want to do? They don't want you to run the ball on them. because they want Patrick Mahomes to constantly get back on the field. Bengals should take up the same kind of strategy. You know, I don't want you to be able to run the ball on me. I want you to be afraid to run the ball on me. And I think that's kind of the motive. Honestly, I think it's just a linebacker. You just need a linebacker who's willing to just... You need like a Brian Cushing, a crazy, probably on steroids, definitely taking 4 smelling salts to the face before the game. Guy who's just going to beat up every single person who runs to that middle and, you know, just get my quarterback the ball back. But I don't know where it's going to come from, but whatever it is, it's got to stop the run. Secondary wasn't the problem. It was the run game. The run defense, sorry.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest thing was DJ Reader got hurt. Plus, I think it's pretty obvious this year he took a step back, which means the whole run defense took a step back. I mean, teams were just running the ball effectively against us all season. Besides maybe a few games where they kind of locked in, but other than that, the majority of the season, that was the game plan. That was the scouting report. Hey, you can run the ball against these Bengals this year. And in previous seasons, it was, you know, you might get a run here and there, but you're not going to run all day. So I agree with you. They probably got to upgrade. DJ Reader is up for a contract. Bengals usually don't give guys contracts when they're that. I mean, he's not advanced age, but he's near 30. He probably won't get a contract. So, with that being said, do you draft this replacement, or do you make a big splash? Do you go spend your cap space on Chris Jones? Probably don't spend your money on Chris Jones, but it's been thrown out there. So, if the Chiefs don't want to pay him, hey, come play for the rival. But we'll see. They're kind of cheap, so they'll probably save that money for elsewhere. You're right. The secondary wasn't the problem, but it was a problem. But I think it's more so them being young, kind of like the Chiefs. 2 years ago they had a young secondary, a lot of young draft picks. So I think you got to give them another year to mature. It was just a year too early for them. Linebackers were pretty solid, I think, but like a guy like Queen could probably make an impact if he doesn't get money in Baltimore. Come play for Cincinnati. They might pay you for a year or two if you can help us stop the run. Edge rushing, solid. Trey Hendrickson was second or third in the league in sacks. So edge rushing and getting to the quarterback is not a problem here. Now, when we talk about offense, I think you're right. T. Higgins probably just plays out the tag unless a team wants to pony up a first rounder. I think unless a team gives a first round pick, he's not going anywhere. He'll probably just do what they did with Bates because they have the same agent. Just play on the tag. It's a smart move. You don't want to play for a booty team. And yeah, you get money, but you're going to get money in Cincinnati for 1 year. You're going to make the playoffs most likely. You're going to make a deep run in the playoffs most likely. So you really don't even need to have magnificent stats to still get a bag next season. The bag's always going to be there. You're just pushing it down a year down the road. So I think he's probably just going to maybe he's going to keep negotiating. Maybe he just takes a lesser deal with less years. If it fits what the Bengals want to do, maybe he does that. I don't foresee that happening, though. So they got to make advantage of this last year with T. We have some pretty solid receivers now. Charlie Jones, the Andre kid from Princeton, he had a solid rookie year. I think, and they have what's the kid's name?
Isn't it Charlie Jones?
Irwin. Trent Irwin. I think he's a free agent as well. So we'll see. And Boyd is a free agent. Boyd's definitely not coming back unless he takes a massive pay cut. But he can still make a bag somewhere as someone's number 2. So he'll probably go get a bag. Trent Irwin will probably get a bag. So that just leaves us with Jones and the Iglock. I can't even pronounce the kid's name, but he'll be there. And then I think tight end needs to be addressed. These 1-year deals with these tight ends, with Irv Smith, and then last season with the guy that you guys stole,
Hurst,
and then the year before that they had C.J. Uzama, but he got a bag for the Jets. Look how he's playing now, not too good. So with the pick 18, I would probably prefer an offensive lineman. They've been targeting offensive linemen. That's what I expect them to get. But if Brock Bowers somehow falls, and tight ends fell last year, so maybe this is a trend. Maybe we don't take tight ends in the first round anymore, unless you're Sam Laporta. Maybe that kind of reinforces, hey, if you're a good tight end, you gotta go in the lottery. Maybe if he falls late lottery, we can get Bowers, but I don't foresee that happening. Maybe a team moves up and gets him, but that would probably be the 1B pick to the 1A being getting an offensive lineman.
So here are some running backs, right? Oh, sorry, not running back. Linebackers. So Frankie Louvu for Carolina is technically the number 1 rated linebacker coming out this offseason.
Oh, okay.
He was pretty good. That would be a good pickup. You might have to pay a lot because I think
Is he going to cost? How much is he going to cost?
Well, they're not. I'm not looking up that. I'm just looking up. But his run defense grade is an 86.6 out of 100.
Okay.
Levante David from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
He's only a 7.7 run defense grade, but coverage in the box is rated 90.4 out of 100. Patrick Queen. If you look at his run defense and his coverage stats, Patrick Queen doesn't look all that good on paper in comparison to Levante David or Frankie Louvu. He's only a 71.3 run defense grade and a 67.9% grade, so he doesn't look all that great. Then you look over here just a little bit, which when I saw it, I was like, this might work. You might be able to get him on a cheaper deal. Bobby Wagner from Seattle. The ageless wonder. He's probably about, 35, 36.
He's up there.
His coverage in the box grade is a little low at 66.7, but his run defense grade is still a 92.7. And if one of the things that you need them more than anything is to stop the run, then tackle machine Bobby Wagner might be a good pickup. And you might be able to get him for a little bit of less money because he's no longer prime anymore. And he strictly might just be a run-stopping linebacker that you may or may not take out on third down, like a 3rd and 13.
He's out.
He's probably not staying in. But
yeah,
if it's a 3rd and 3, I'm making sure Bobby's out there because I want him to run up that middle and kill. But I think he would take the role of Jermaine Pratt, or he would work with Jermaine Pratt. He would work alongside him. I don't know how that works. I don't know the chemistry of your defense. Your linebacking core. I don't know who would be a substitute in and out. I don't know who the weak point of your linebacking core is.
2 solid linebackers that both can run defend, pass defend, but I guess they're probably just not the top of the top. They're just solid guys. So yeah, I like the names you threw out there. Yeah, I think we shall see, though. We shall see. So we got to the end of the division. How are we going to rank them amongst the AFC divisions? I'm going to say they're probably the best just because they're the first division to have, everyone had a winning record. I'm going to say they're number 1.
What was the question again?
In terms of ranking them against the other divisions, are they first, second, third, or they're the worst division?
They're the best division in the AFC. NFC, I'd probably still have to give it to you. That division is probably still top. Do I think it'll be top next year? I'm gonna go with no. There's always a weird regression the year after being the best division. I don't know if that makes sense, but like last year, the NFC East was the best division. You look at the NFC East this year, the Giants and the Commanders were both pretty garbage.
Yeah, there's going to be some regression. I think it's going to be some regression somewhere. I don't want to say any names right now, though.
Well, I'll say some names. I think the regression is going to be in the Steelers. I think it's going to be the time. I think the back's going to finally break on the Steelers. I think they're going to finally make Tomlin crack. I think he's going to finally take that sabbatical, take a break, get that mental psyche right. Tomlin, you're only he's only in his 50s, maybe 60s. He's only in his 50s.
Nah, it's 50s.
Yeah, so Tomlin got plenty of time to come back to the sport. But damn, the guy's been coaching for so long in the same, city. At one point, it might be better just to get a change of scenery. but I don't think he would do that. I think he would take some time off.
51.
And if I was Tomlin at 51 years old, I would take a year off. I would.
Yeah, I think.
And then I come back. You kind of do what Denver Broncos coach did. Sean Payton. You take a year off, and then you get the cream of the crop. I get whoever I want, basically. That would be a way if I'm Tomlin. That's the way I would look at it. Hey, I'll come back, but I want the best. I want a team that is not in any kind of struggle. Go take a year off and go honeymoon the whole year with your wife. You've been married since 1996. She's been dealing with that NFL bullshit for so long now. Why don't you give her a break too? She'd love it, and then she'll be more supportive on the way back in. So, I think next year the Steelers finally have one of those poopy years that they've been kind of wanting to have, so they can get better draft picks and all those other things. Also thinking about it, like it just kind of feels that the Ravens are going to take a step back. No offense to the Raven fans and Ravens out there, but you're going to be playing all the best teams next year because you're the number 1 seed. Yeah, you're probably going to get beat up a little bit, knowing that your team's also going to get cut in half. I'm not saying you're going to get gutted, but you're probably going to get gutted. I honestly, I'm just not sold. I get their offense is better than it's ever been, but I'm just not sold on the offensive weapons. I think, honestly, the championship game showed that really only Zay Flowers was out there ready to play. If Mark Andrews wasn't broken, I think he would have been out there ready to play, but I think they kind of rushed him back a little too quick.
Yeah.
So I definitely want another wide receiver. Like we said multiple times this season, I just don't see how Odell Beckham's a number one. I mean, they borderline tried to play him off as number 1, borderline number 2. I just don't see it anymore. You got to do what the Rams did. Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't the number 1. He was like number 3. But he was a damn good number 3. Because if he's not getting double teamed or he's not getting the safety look, he can cut him up and he can dice him up. But when he gets that second look on him, it makes it too hard to throw to him. But I think the Steelers and the Ravens, which is an odd thing to say because it's almost never happened that both of them have a down year. But I just have a hard time believing the Browns with that team and what they went through this past season don't make a little noise. But I also do believe the Bengals. I think next year's the Bengals run. I think all of us want to see the Bengals knock out the Chiefs again because that's the only team that can do it. I think I speak for a lot of us, and we say I'm just tired of the Chiefs, man. I'm tired of it. I'm tired.
We're tired of them. We're tired, boss. We're tired. All right, that wraps up the NFL division recap, season recap, AFC North. We'll do this once a week, so next week we'll tackle another AFC division. I think we have like 8 or 9 weeks until the draft, so this should take us until the draft. So we're just gonna take this nice and slow, guys. But coming up next, we have Rapid Fire. We're back. So Rapid Fire. We got some college basketball to talk about. First up, in light of Duke losing to Wake Forest, there's been a lot of controversy because these kids and probably their moms and dads that went there are storming the court, all right? Now, as fellow people that stormed the court just last week, we think this is complete bullshit, all right? We stormed that court. We beat number 16 Dayton. And I say we mean the George Mason Patriots. We beat them. Yeah, no big deal. And we stormed that court. You damn right. We didn't hurt anybody. So now why does, one kid, 7-foot man child get hurt, or supposedly he got hurt, they want to ruin it for all of us? Lawrence, how you feel about this? Did they have a point? Or is it just tradition at this point and you just got to get over it?
Listen, they have a point. Yes, they do have a point. But here's the problem with your point. I think your point is stupid. And let me get to why your point is stupid, okay? It is tradition that if you are a road favorite, and we're not just talking like any kind of road favorite. We mean big favorite, okay? Dayton, I get they weren't a big favorite. They were only a 4-point favorite against George Mason. George Mason was a plus 175 underdog. and we whooped that ass by 8. I think it was like 8. I don't remember what the final score was. We whooped that ass by like 8. We beat number 16 in the country. Okay, I'm
Yep.
sorry, but if you got a rank next to your name and you lose on the road, you got to know what's coming. You're
You
getting
gotta know.
stormed on. Now,
Yep.
here's what I also think. People are like, okay, there's got to be a better system about it. Yeah, that's for the college to figure out. Now, do I think the college should be held responsible? Yeah. Do I think they should stop court storming? No. What should happen is the security that you do have, because they say they don't want to buff up security. They don't want to put too much security because that's too much money out of the college's pocket. But even though these kids are paying, I mean, I know our tuition was like what, $23K a year. So like, okay,
All my loans and stuff put together is over $100K, my G.
okay, but we're not talking about the whole time. We're talking about per year. So regardless,
So divide that by 4. So 20 a year.
yeah. So we're talking about this like, dude. Okay, George Mason students, they paying a lot of money in tuition. You can't get a little bit of security just to make make like a bridge. All the security to stay in, because they always try to put the security like in front of the student section to like block the students from rushing in. But you're not going to stop the horde. It is what it is. You're not going to stop them all. So you don't even bother with it. How they should do it is when they do the handshake line. When you get beat on the road, you're not shaking anyone's hand.
No one's
None of that team is shaking your hand because they're cheering in the middle of the crowds. The storming of the court. They're cheering in the middle of the crowd too. And notice how none of those players get their ankle stepped on or anything.
Nope.
Because they're a part of it. So it's coming, like you're a Duke player, and the court storm is about to come. You should follow the security that they should put in place that's going to make like a little barrier wall. And I guarantee you, students aren't going to try to fight security to go step on his foot then. They don't care. They don't care. What they want to do is they want to get on the court and jump up and down with the players of the team that just won. Okay, that's all they want to do. Because it's the thrill of the moment. I know it was the only time we've ever done it. It's the only time we've ever beaten a ranked team at home. It's the thrill of the moment. It's amazing. Okay, you can't take it away. But you can put those security guys who are trying to stop the people from storming and just put them in a line and just have the guys go to the locker room out that way. Like, what? Or how you can do it is you can, tunnel students in this way to storm the court and tunnel the other players out that way. There's so many ways to do it. I mean, honestly, half the time when the court storms come, it's not even in close games. Honestly, what should happen is, half the time, like Dayton just let us dribble the ball out. There was 4 seconds left, and Dayton let us dribble the ball out. They were like, it's over, we lost. In that time of knowing that you lost, sportsmanship. Now, Duke has been known because they killed one of my bets one time against Wake Forest of all teams. Because he had to, with I think it was like 13 seconds left, all the Wake Forest players were walking off the court. They were leaving to go to the locker room because the game was over. They're not playing defense. That Duke player decides, okay, this is my time to shine. Let me go do a cool dunk. Okay, you broke my bet. So I don't even care that your guy got his foot stomped on. I don't even care. I'm glad they did it. They probably did it because you killed their bet 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. That's why they did it, because you killed their bet. Not even the same player, I will say. It wasn't that player. It was a different player that did the dunk. But anyways, the Wake Forest, they were walking off the court. When we stormed the court against Dayton, the Dayton players knew they were going to get the court stormed on them. They started walking towards the locker room. They knew what was happening. They didn't even bother doing the whole shake hands in line because all the George Mason players were just going to go run into that storm. So, don't play it off like you get like. I know he might have gotten hurt, but you didn't have to put yourself in that situation to get hurt. You knew it was coming. You could have just walked. You could have walked off to the side of the court. You could have jogged. Quick little jog. Your legs are freaking, 4 feet long, 5 feet long. He's like a 7-footer. His legs are like 4 feet long.
He's a 7-foot man child. Just hustle off the court, bro. If you watch the video, guys, he just like kind of casually walks away. He's like trying to like push people out the way while he's walking. I'm like, bro, you had plenty of time to just go onto the fucking scores table and just be in safety, but he chose to do that. So, I mean, if you're in the kid's way, they're not going to freaking. I mean, they're not going to purposely try to tackle you, step on your ankles, whatever. But if you're in the way, of course they're going to push you and stuff. They're trying to go celebrate. So I think it's mostly his fault. But I mean, at the end of the day, they do have a point, though. I mean, people shouldn't get hurt, but it's tradition. If you want to get mad at the people who started it. Don't try to ruin it for, the younger people like us, the kids that are paying a lot of money to be at the universities, and they want to experience something that, their dads did, their moms did, their grandparents did, and now you want to take all that away because one person gets hurt. That's not fair. And they pay a lot of money. They should. I mean, it's a better way to do it, but I mean, at the end of the day, these kids pay six figures to go to these universities. Sometimes even more than that, bro. I mean, like I imagine places like Duke and stuff that tuition's dumb high. I mean, the kids should get a say in, some stuff like this. So, to all the old head, the boomers that say get away with it, you were doing it when you were there. Why are you having a change of heart? It's kind of stupid. Shout out to RJ, who was just like, bro, Richard Jefferson on NBA Today was just like, hey, these kids pay a lot of money. It's just the boomers who just get off my lawn. And then they're talking about Jay Billis talking about, just arrest the kids, don't let them off the court, give them citations. Like, bro, that's so boomer energy, man. Like, get over yourself. Stop being a hater. You were doing this stuff years ago. Come on.
When we went to the bar after the Mason game, the old man literally told us, I wanted to storm the court too. But he was like, I feel like I was a little too old to do that because he didn't want to get hurt.
This is like a 70-year-old man too. He's like, yeah, I want to go on the court as well.
He was like,
he was like courtside. He was what? He was like what? One row behind courtside. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I wanted to go in there, but I was probably too old.
So, I think it's just the energy you have. I just feel like, I think to be fair, I think Jay Billis. I think he's just been a part of the. I think he's just one of those coaches who's been a part of being stormed on. So
yeah,
that's where his hater energy comes. Because he was with that Villanova team that was so good for so long, and whenever they lost, they always got stormed on when they were on the road. But I'm pretty confident that you gave a coach who's in the complete opposite spectrum. So we'll go with like a coach, from George Mason. Do you think Tony Skinn is saying, no, I don't think they should storm the court? Absolutely not. He's at a small program that doesn't win consistently year after year. Small program coaches, the guys who've been there and done that and fought in the trenches for years, they don't say things like that. They enjoy that atmosphere. That's why they're coaching at that school.
Look at him. Look at Greenberg. He another ESPN guy, but he was like, okay, well, it's obvious we're not going to get away with storming the court, but like here are some alternatives. Just have a minute countdown, and then the kids can storm more. Like you said, create a funnel where the kids can just go to the locker room because they're not going to shake hands. Just hire security for that, and then let the kids storm. Like guys like that who don't have that type of energy. I mean, Greenberg coached at an ACC Power 5 school, and he has the same type of respect for the tradition as what we're talking about right now.
That's because he was at he didn't have awesome teams year after year. He fought and he made them. He made them. He beat those good teams, and he wanted those kids to storm the court because that's how you build a tradition. Like that's how things get sprouted. I mean, you got to also look at it like they're always bringing guys in there for like college recruitment, right?
Yeah,
there was definitely a Wake Forest recruit at that game, and if they don't storm that court, what kind of excitement do you get from beating Duke? I mean, that's what you're trying to show that recruit is, look what happens when you beat Duke here at Wake Forest. We go crazy.
We go crazy.
And if they don't go crazy, then you don't have that punchline to say at the end of it, like that you could be in the middle of that circle right there.
Yeah,
that's what you want. That's what you want to strive for. You come to play here, Wake Forest, for 4 years. I promise you I'll do my best to get you one of those court storms against Duke.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be a part of it. And it might not be against Duke. It might be against UVA. It might be against North Carolina. We're going to try to get you one of those at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just tradition. And I think that's all we're trying to say is, don't get rid of something that's been there for 40 years and just a couple of, rare incidents here and there. Don't, get rid of tradition just for that. There's definitely better ways to do it, but I think that's pretty much all we're trying to say there. So Mason beats Dayton, and then we get our ass kicked on Saturday. Can you explain?
Why'd you have to bring it up, man?
Well, we gotta bring up the good with the bad. All right, we had a major, ranked win, and then we lost to the number one team in the A10. My take on it is Mason just gave everything they had on Wednesday, and they laid an egg Saturday. Plain and simple.
So here's my problem with the fact that we lost at Loyola, right? So currently in the eighth and then the bracketology, it only has who is it? It only has Dayton as an A10 school making the tournament, right? Well, if I'm not mistaken, Dayton is now the third seed. And Richmond and Loyola are now above Dayton. Loyola is now number one, in my opinion. I think Loyola is number one, even though they're tied with Richmond. I think Loyola has earned the fact that they should be number one in the A10, but they don't have any kind of. They're not even on bubble watch. Richmond nor Loyola are even on bubble watch. And if you go to bracketology and you look at the teams who are on bubble watch, you can't tell me that a 20-7 Richmond and a 20-7 Loyola is a worse team to go see than Utah. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Utah has been bad. I think the Pac-12 record, they have a losing Pac-12 record. They have not looked good. Butler, for instance, has not looked good. They're average. They're not that great. But they're only having these teams go in there because they're in big conferences. Sorry, but not sorry. Next four out, Drake, I'm pretty sure Drake is like 23-4 or 22-5. Drake was it 23-6. Why is a 23-6 team in the next four out, and you have mediocre teams in front of them who aren't going to make any noise? Sorry, not sorry. Providence is not making any noise in the tournament. Don't even put them in the last four in. Yeah, we're Providence haters here, but Providence isn't a good team. And you look at their record, they're pretty average.
Same record as Mason, right? Mason's 18-9.
Same record as Mason. What is their conference record? They're 9-7. That's not even that impressive. That's not impressive. It's just not impressive. If you want me to be honest with you, the cutoff limit should be Creighton. Anything below Creighton, you don't get in. Seton Hall should get in. They're above Creighton. But above anything after that, no. Now, like Nebraska, I'll give it to Nebraska. Nebraska's been doing awesome. Now, do you want me to say UVA should make it? Dude, UVA is so boring. I don't want to watch UVA. Unless UVA is having an awesome record, I don't want to go watch UVA in March Madness. They can't score more than 40 points in a game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, UVA at this point, they're getting in on what? Just name recognition.
Name value alone, and I'm in the ACC.
In the ACC.
But
go ahead.
The university is the best team right there to look at is University of South Florida. If you look at the University of South Florida, they're like, I think they've only have 6 losses on the season. They're not even on the bubble. They're not even making the tournament, and they're not even on the bubble. But this team has I'm pretty sure they beat Florida Atlantic, who's ranked, and they beat Memphis, who at certain points in the season has been ranked. And we don't even have the University of South Florida making the tournament. I mean, that's just pretty sorry to me. Texas A&M hasn't done anything all season. Why are they making this tournament? Atlantic 10, 2. Okay, so they've updated. Atlantic 10 now has 2. They have 2 whole teams. And I bet you one of them is Loyola and one of them is Dayton. Where's the love for Richmond? They're the best team in the A10, and they have no love.
I'm looking. I don't. We're probably in the South, right?
Dayton's right there at number 5 seed, and Richmond. Okay, Richmond's right there in Brooklyn as a 12 seed. So you're telling me that Loyola of Chicago, who's the number 1 team in the A10, is behind Richmond, who technically is number 1 as well, and Dayton. Dayton's literally only in there for name value, purely in there for name value. Dayton has actually lost to all 3 Virginia schools. You didn't know that. They lost to VCU, Richmond, and George Mason. But, I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, that's just, like, there's just discrepancies there. I mean, that should not be a thing. Loyola should be one of those teams that's, like, on the bubble. Will they get in? Will they not get in? Who knows if they'll get in or not? They should be above Providence. They should be above Texas A&M. But the only reason they keep in Texas A&M and Providence in there is because I don't know if it's just me or you, but, like, I couldn't care if Michigan goes and if a team who has like a borderline mediocre record, just because their name is bigger, do you really think that's going to make me turn on the March Madness game? No, I'm going to turn on any March Madness game that is on at any point in time if it's a good game.
If it's a good one. If it's not a blowout, we're going to watch. I mean, it's just plain simple.
I'm watching any game, okay? You're going to have 4 of them on at the same time, and they're all at different increments of time. And I'm taking the best 2 of them, and I'm watching both of them. That's how it works. We don't discriminate based on big school, little school. We don't give a crap. Honestly, I'd rather see some smaller schools get in there because I'd rather see some cool March Madness runs. Because, no offense, I don't even if like Michigan. I'm just keeping using Michigan because that's the example I always use. Michigan might have a mediocre team this year, and they might go in there as like a 10 seed or an 11 seed. Do you think I'm going to care if Michigan makes a run? No. I'm not going to care. It's Michigan.
Yeah.
But if a small school, who gets some love, like, I don't know, McNeese State, because McNeese State's like one of the best teams right now. They have one of the best records, and they're a 12 seed, and they make a run, I'm cheering for that way harder than I am 11 ranked Michigan. So I just think there's love to teams that don't deserve love, and it's only because of their name value.
Yeah. I mean, it's been like that, so I guess we just kind of got to live with it. But we guess that's pretty much some early bracketology. I think Selection Sunday is in like 3 weeks or something, March 17th. So
March 17th. But if we look at these, like, because you always get upsets in the 12 seeds, right? I'm looking there right at that 12 seed, and I see McNeese State playing Dayton. I'm taking McNeese State all day against Dayton. I don't think Dayton's all that amazing. I think George Mason and VCU and Richmond improved. They're not all that amazing. Do I think Richmond can beat Wisconsin? Probably not. I don't want to be honest with you. Probably not. Wisconsin's pretty strong, but Richmond's also nothing to be writing home about. But Clemson at a 5 seed is going to play either Texas A&M or Providence. Why are we giving a big name school a 12 seed anyways? Like, hasn't a 12 seed been notorious given to smaller schools anyways? I mean,
yeah. Unless
what are we on here?
Yeah. We got some more time to talk about this in the coming weeks, but this is some early bracketology for you guys. That's pretty much the end of rapid fire. That's all the topics I had. Anything else you want to go over before we head on out?
No, I'm ready to go home, man.
He's ready to go home, y'all. He is retired from sports betting for the moment, so you may not hear any picks from him. Do you want to elaborate on that, or are we just going to leave it at that?
I don't know. I'm kind of liking this cleanse, It's nice.
Nice cleanse. Hey, it's nice to take a break every once in a while. Don't chase the bet. Hey, sometimes you got to reset, refocus, stacking money. Maybe money guy goes to better things, but I just restarted this past weekend. Made out 400 on the weekend. Gonna take a little break until probably Wednesday. So it's good to take breaks, y'all. It's good to take breaks. But other than that, that's all we got. MTL Sports Podcast, episode 74. We'll be back on Thursday. So see you guys then. Peace.